Hey everyone, and welcome back to Fleetyards Mission Briefing. And this is the show where we take a look at, ships from the whole wide plethora and multiverse. And
it's so pretty, there's so much to talk about.
All of the sci-fi universes out there. We pick ships and tech, and we're going to look at those things and talk about them and discuss, and eventually do full episodes on them down the road. I am your host, or one of your hosts, Captain Foley.
I'm the other one, the British one. Commander Cousins. Welcome back, everyone.
All right, so today's topic, I believe, is more than meets the eye. But Samuel, do you know what today's topic is?
Well, normally on Fleetyards, I bring you a ship, render it, bring it ready, and then I surprise you. But sometimes here on Fleetyards, you do that, and I'm just like, huh? So this week, I say, huh? What are we doing today, Stuart? I don't know. So you tell me. It's exciting. Surprise Sam Fleetyards.
I've already given you a hint.
Yes, you have.
More than meets the eye. It's Transformers related. It is going to be, we're going to be looking at the Transformers Ark today. And this is the ship that brought the Autobots to Earth.
Sounds like an important one.
Ooh, it is, actually, yes.
Okay. The one that started it all.
Yeah. So this first picture is from one of the comics, and the ship's got a simple look to it. Big engines. Big engines. But we can talk a little bit more about those later. But so this ship is pretty big, considering that the Autobots are like 60 feet tall, some of them. So
like a deck would be 80 feet, and then you go 4 decks, and then wow.
Yeah. The complete size is kind of questionable, and there are different versions of it that crop up over the years in comics and different shows and whatnot. But the main ship design never really changes from each thing to another. So let's just take a look at these.
So this is the first one, I take it.
This is a comic version of the first one.
Okay.
So and they're always gold, so they're not a dull gray color or anything, because it is a cartoon. So they kind of, some of the other ships we've looked at in Fleetyards, they're all long and gray and boxy. They're all very similar.
They're all human built, aren't they? Whereas this one's very much alien built. I
guess, or just people had imaginations back in the 80s.
Wow.
But anyway,
well, I want to hear your first impression of the ship when you first saw it, because I'm sure you'll ask me mine. But what was your impression, Stuart?
Oh, I was so young, man. And to be honest, I understood it was a ship because it's crashed on Earth when we see it. We're going to see a picture of that soon, the way that most people have seen this ship.
Okay.
But yeah, over the years, it's just it's one of those ships that it says Autobot, just the design of it, because they keep the design kind of consistent. Like I said, even through all the different changes and stuff that they've done over the years, they kind of keep the basic overall design. And it's really Cybertronian. It's an awesome design.
That's a good name for a thing, Cybertronian.
Well, so they come from Cybertron. So.
They do. Now I've got to. Before I say what my thoughts are, now the problem with I've seen all the new movies. I've seen 2 different animated series and Beast Wars. So I've seen a whole plethora of Transformers. The problem with the idea of the Transformer aesthetic is that, for the most part, we always see them after they've linked and scanned a human machine. So very rarely do you see them in their native forms. I almost have no concept of what a Transformers race design is, because we never really see them. Now, I have seen them on Cybertron a little bit, and I have seen Cybertron itself and the big Unicron and that stuff, so I have a vague sense. But I mean,
that's what this episode's good for, because you're going to see the way their ships look, at least the Autobot ships.
Okay.
There is a Decepticon aesthetic as well.
It's purple, isn't it?
It is. And we're going to do that ship as well in the future. It's called the Nemesis. We got to start off with, what's your first impression of the ship, Samuel?
Very Bonaventure-y, the Rick Sternbach one. It has that same vibe, kind of like, like colony, big, not very advanced, but that's just because it's simple shapes, if that makes sense. But if it's fit for purpose, like a colony ship, it would have space. It doesn't need to be these long, thin, glassy, it doesn't. I mean, I'm interested in the scale, because there are pieces
Scale's tricky.
There are pieces that you might assume are things, like the front part. Because I like the different sections of it, and it's nicely leveled. I kind of like that. But in the front bit, where there's those 2 sort of half domes, and in the middle of them there's a little rectangle. I assume that's the bridge window monitoring station, maybe bridge.
Yeah.
Because it gives you some sense of scale, which means it's a pretty decently sized ship. Again, considering they're however feet tall.
There are a few cutaways later that kind of show the scale. So, but the scale is in question because it's Transformers. I mean, we got 60-foot robots that turn into guns that a human can hold. It's called mass shifting. It's a thing that Cybertronians can do. So, yeah, it's a question.
But my takeaway from this is that it's not a warship, it's not a ship of the line, it's not even designed for anything in particular, it's just a to B transport ship. No discernible weapons, no advancement, it doesn't realize FTL specifically, but I don't think they do like portals where you just go into a transdimensional, so it's less about thrust, it's more about opening a gate and then go through the gate. So you don't need physical thrust for that in the same way, so that can all be internal, but
again, it depends on what we're looking at, which series and whatnot. But there is no real faster than light drive. It's kind of weird for this first one. If we go to the next picture, though, this is a picture of it from the 1984 cartoon launching. That's the very first time we see it. So that's the original look of it.
Kind of cool.
A lot of massive engines, which is cool. And it is called the Ark, which speaks to the biblical term as well. It brought all the Autobots to Earth. Not on purpose, mind you, but we'll get into that in a minute.
Now, wasn't the Ark also in Dark Side of the Moon? Wasn't that the thing that crashed and had Spock on? I mean, the Transformer Spock.
I think that one was called the Ark. I don't know. Michael Bay butchered Transformers.
Because I know there was a ship that crashed. I'd be interested if it was the same basic design.
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Cool.
But next picture, this is from the War for Cybertron games, leading up to the events in the 1984 movie where they had to leave Cybertron. Blah, blah, blah.
So, but why does he look like why does he have the same color scheme as a pickup truck then, or a big semi truck?
Because he's red and blue.
Oh, he's always red and blue, regardless of the truck.
Pretty much. Yep.
Oh, okay.
And that's very much a Cybertronian design that is there, which I like. In the 84 cartoon, they start out looking... the robot parts all look like Earth parts, which is silly. But these games, there was a few of them. They're like Call of Duty for Transformers. They're fun games to play, and the storyline is very well done. All their transformation modes are really cool. And there you see the Ark under construction, getting ready for launch. And it's
a little bit higher res as well.
Yes, a little bit. It's very similar to the design we've seen, and they do, like I said, they do kind of keep the main aesthetic the same over all these platforms. So.
Oh yeah, I mean you've seen ships in Star Trek, evolve and iterate and think. Well, that's almost the same thing, but this is like the same thing, but they had the chance to actually flesh it out.
Yes.
I mean, just getting the color and the things right. It's interesting. It looks good. I mean, I'd interested to know what it all does and how it's all connected, and I don't know. Interesting. Huh.
Yeah. You do get to explore around the ship a little bit too in the game, which is fun. So
cool.
Anyway, the next picture is the picture I was talking about. This is how we basically see the ship through the whole run of the Transformers. It crashed on Earth 3 million years ago into an active volcano.
Okay. Interesting.
And then the volcano did its thing and exposed some of the ship and woke up the Transformers, and so 3 million years later they wake up basically.
3 million. So it's Red Dwarf time. So existing. Yeah. Or so it means that it means the Transformers are from the Star Wars universe because they're a long time ago. It depends if they came from a different galaxy, and then they came to Earth. Okay.
Anyway. Yeah. This is the view that I remember as a kid going. It looks like rock. It looks like it's made of rock. This ship.
Well, it looks rusted and old. I mean, it certainly has been there a while.
Yeah. And the entryway for it doesn't jive with the angle it's on. That always bothered me as a kid, but I'm sure they could alter it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, if they can transform their bodies, why the hell can they transform parts of the ship?
Very interesting idea. Yeah. I like it.
I am here to help.
Thank you. So if we go to the next picture, this is a shot. A fan done one with different color scheme, but it kind of gives you an idea of the bridge layout. Which we do see in some other pictures, I believe, that I have.
Kind of a fancy bridge, actually. I like it.
Yeah, it's very big. It's very open concept, I guess you'd call it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, obviously they like Windows. Windows are a thing. Windows exist.
Yes, windows exist in the ship, and you're right. The front part there on the top is the bridge.
A
Yeah.
multi-levels as well. Very good for command. It kind of has a Star Destroyer meets Star Destroyer vibe, honestly, with the 3 windows and how it's laid out a little bit, which is good. It's very practical.
So, yeah, this drawing I really like. I would prefer it if it was the right color, like the gold color or the yellow color that we are used to.
Well, this could be the ship of the line version. They paint it gold as the last hope of Cybertron. I don't know.
Cybertron, yeah.
Yeah.
On the very bottom there, of course, is Teletraan I, but we've got some more detailed pictures of Teletraan I later to kind of show the Autobot.
Teletron 1.
Teletraan I. That's the main computer, yes.
Oh, okay.
Teletran. Teletran. Teletran.
Okay.
But yeah, it'll show you the way that the computer's systems look for Transformers. So
Yeah, this one has kind of a different vibe to it. It's more thick, sort of fatter, but in a thin way, which kind of gives it a sleeker profile a little bit. It also changes the scale profile, I think, compared to the first one a little bit.
yeah,
it's interesting.
yeah. There's subtle refinements to each one. So there's like pieces that each one really has in common. So
Yeah.
the next picture is just a fan drawing, just a sketch of the Nemesis and the Ark from the very first episode. The Nemesis locks on with tractor beams, cuts holes in the side of the Ark, and the Decepticons board it.
Interesting shot. I mean, you can tell what they're going for straight away. You've got the gentle curves of the, Autobots, and then everything is a sharp curve. Everything's a sharp line and a sharp point for Decepticon. Not very good for functional space, though, is it? I mean, look at how many, you can fit 4 Decepticons on one and then 150 on the other one. I mean, it's so badly used in space terms.
Interesting, yeah. If you go to the next picture...
Hold on, before you go, though, this also tells you that Decepticons have more advanced technology because their engine is a single, smaller rectangle, as opposed to the Autobots, which have 5 separate things. That implies they have more... I mean, come on, an aggressive race tends to have more technology because they tend to push military further. So my guess is it's more advanced.
Race. The Autobots and the Decepticons were one race.
Well, no, I mean subsect. I mean, like the Nazis to us.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say the Decepticons are the military aspect of the species, and the Autobots are the more peaceful aspect. So yes, exactly what you're saying. The military has more refined technology. Hence why all the Decepticons can fly. None of the Autobots can fly, except for in the first episode when Optimus Prime could fly. He could fly later with a jetpack.
Yeah.
So could Sideswipe, but yeah, it's odd.
I would explain a pickup truck versus a jet for Sidewinder. No, Starscream. There you go.
Starscream, yes.
Cool.
And the next picture is just an artist's rendering again of.
Oh no.
This is what happened. They tractor beamed together. The Decepticons all went over, and then there was some shearing, and it shattered the ships apart in Earth's orbit, and they both crashed. The Nemesis went into the ocean, and the Ark went into the volcano, and the Ark had the Decepticons on it as well. Okay. So when the volcano erupted 3 million years later, it's really strange. The Decepticons wake up first, but they don't kill any of the Autobots. But whatever, we'll just ignore that.
But that'd be the end of the story before we even began. That'd be boring.
True, but common sense.
They're robots, though, from the past. They're really old at this point. 3 million years. Their logics... Well, they are. I mean, 3 million years old. I mean, in a sense, it's been in stasis, the equivalent, so... yeah. And this one has 2 domes on either side, whereas the last version had a single dome, and the first version had no domes of the same sort.
Yes.
Slightly different design.
Yeah. And the next picture is just another variation on this. This is from the Transformers Prime series. You see the newer Nemesis-style ship, but kind of reenacting the same battle scene.
Kind of looks like a Photoshop to me, given the angles.
It is. It's Photoshop of the Transformers Prime Nemesis ship, and the first ship we saw, the comic version. So,
a bit more aggressive. The other ship looks like now. Just a smidge.
Yeah, well, the Nemesis episode will be fun because there's a few different versions of that ship. And it's not as similar as all the different versions of the Ark, so...
Yeah. Well, the first version's a bit... weird.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And just to finish off this... Well, almost finish off this theme, go to the next picture is an actual shot from the TV show where they're locking on with the tractor beams.
Hmm.
And the shot after that is from Beast Wars, where they're retelling what happened to the original Autobots. So that's the Beast Wars version of the arc in CG.
More beasty.
Nice.
More beasty for sure, with all the different panels, but more bland. Doesn't work as well.
It is, but I like it. There's a certain aspect about the front of it that I really like, but we'll see a picture of that later. You're going to think it's very familiar. It's going to be interesting. But, well, we are Star Trek guys, after all. That's all I'll say for now.
Okay.
And the next picture is a great cutaway, actually.
Ooh, pretty.
Yes.
Huh.
And there you can see there's a lower bridge module and an upper bridge module. And you can see the Autobots inside the front part there, so you kind of get a sense of scale.
Big ship. I mean, this is going to be, what, maybe even a mile long? I don't know. I mean, this is a...
Yeah, it would be pretty big.
I mean, people walking in this would be like ants. Or at least dogs. Like, you put a dog around an aircraft carrier, that's what it's probably going to be like.
Yeah.
Huh. So, but it looks very... Because, I mean, Autobots, they don't need to eat. They don't need to sleep.
They do. They need to have energon.
But that's not the same thing, though. They don't need to...
They need energon cubes.
But there's no food preparation. There's no need for a galley. There's no need for fresh meat. There's no need to sleeping beds. I mean, you can just pull out of a machine the thing to fuel you, and then sleep where you're standing. So you take out all those personal areas. Suddenly you've just got these big spaces. You know, you can see that it's actually very full of machinery. There's very few rooms. You know, there might just be a rack where people sit and turn off. I mean, you know, even if they have to turn off. So it's a very different functional space, which is interesting. I like how they've got side turret launchers, you know, that come out and fire the guns. It's quite nice. Although, I see turbines in those two circle dome things. What are they meant to be then?
Not sure. Maybe anti-grav generators or something for when it's in an atmosphere. Perhaps.
Well, can these robots create their own artificial gravity within their own feet or something? Like, do they have anti-grav boots, or are they? You know,
I would assume so.
Right. So there might not be any gravity at all in this ship.
Could be. I don't know. Maybe it's just to allow it to hover when it's in an atmosphere. I don't know.
Cool.
Sure.
Dig it. I like it.
Fine. Ask me technical questions that there are no answers to because it's a cartoon.
Well,
that's what we do here on Fleetyards, right?
I tried to.
All right, so the next shot, this is Teletraan I, the main computer. And the Autobots do have a very distinctive look for their computers. Color scheme, at least. You'll always find it's kind of a rusty orange color. There's actually a few shots of Teletraan I that we'll be taking a look at. So, this one, I'm not sure what this is from. This is from a game of some sort, I believe, or just a CG version. But it's Teletraan I is basically like the big view screen and then the smaller ones on the side. And it's pretty standard throughout all of the different incarnations. So, and then the next shot is from Transformers Devastation, which is the latest video game. Which uses the G1. Yeah, it looks amazing. It looks very cartoony, but very... I don't know. It's a fun game to play, too. And it brings back all the old characters. The thing I don't like is the cars don't really look like the cars are supposed to look like, but, you know, copyright and all that jazz. Like Sideswipe there, he was my favorite character because he was a Lamborghini Countach. But no, they made him into some other car for this game, so...
They're expensive.
Stuff.
Cool.
Next picture is just this is the main body of Teletraan I. There are different screens along the sides, but this is the main computing component. Like I said, big screen in the middle, smaller ones on each side.
And does this have some sort of AI, or is it very much just in you know?
It's an AI.
Okay.
It's definitely got a personality.
And how would you compare it to, say, Voyager's AI, like Voyager's computer, like in terms of abilities and things, like, or any Starfleet computer system?
Yeah, I'd compare it more to like HAL from 2001. it's not really Starfleet-esque. I don't know. It's hard to describe. Well, maybe it is Starfleet-esque. Now that you said that. Why do you do this to me, Samuel? Anyway, Teletraan 1's awesome.
Is there a Teletraan 2 on another ship?
Yes, there is actually.
Oh, I was joking.
I can't remember where Teletraan 2 is, but yeah, over different series and different incarnations, they have. Yeah, don't ask. I don't know.
Well, okay.
The next shot is from G1. This is one of the first episode. That's the actual bridge of the Ark.
Big.
Yeah, very big. Got 3 consoles at the front for navigation and stuff. I'm not sure what everything does. I mean, each station must have a function, but it is quite roomy. Like you said, the space is not at a premium here because you don't need, like you said, food preparation, sleeping quarters, all that kind of stuff. So they can spread out a little bit.
So those Transformers look so primitive. It's crazy how bad they look. It's just blocks. It's like people wouldn't design them like that. It's terrible. Like that first one, it's like it's like a kid drew it. Little helmets. Why'd you put noses on machines anyway? I know. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. They've kind of got an interesting dichotomy. They've obviously the producers of the show thought we're going to have these big screens with advanced displays, but at the same time we'll need huge, blocky components to put them in. So it's kind of like forward thinking yet of its time, which is interesting.
Never really thought about it, but yeah, interesting. And next picture is the last picture of Teletraan 1. This one is again from Beast Wars, where we are getting a retelling of the events that crashed them on Earth. The next one is a shot of the bottom. There's some actual cannons on this one.
With a whole different wing formation.
Yes, but the front's still got the same look.
Don't like this one as much. It's blockier, more basic.
So you don't like this one, or you like this one more?
No, I like this one less.
Okay.
Simple and basic.
I like the front part a lot better, and the bottom detailing. But yeah, the sides need to change.
Yeah.
The next one is another adaptation. This is a newer one you might like better, more modernized.
Well, actually feels like a spaceship now.
Yeah. Still got the same look though, big engines, same shapes.
Yeah, it looks
like symbols.
It looks like the exact same one from the video game because I noticed they had those side engines which look like engines. It's also got the same missing components. That's my guess, which certainly makes more sense. I mean, have these big engines, I suppose, and yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
more organic as well.
Yeah, the ship's mainly engines at the back there, I think. Next picture is another version of it, which I've only seen once, and it's in this book, but it's a cutaway. I don't know if I like it more or not. It's very cool design, but I think it's more related to the older 1980 comics.
Well, it's certainly more arcy, like an arc. Like that feels more like just a generically less spaceship, more just arc. Is that weird? Because all the shapes are blocky, feels more like a boat in that sense, or aircraft carrier arciness. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Do you prefer the other one or this one?
Oh god, yeah. I mean, this one like this one looks like the Marvel aircraft carrier, but yellow.
I never thought about that, but you're right.
And not an impressive version either. So I mean, it's a nice rendition of it, but it's an aircraft carrier.
All right. Now, in the 1980s cartoon, we only saw it from the back, being embedded in the volcano. The next picture is from Beast Wars, where you see inside the volcano and the front of the ship. What does the front of that ship look like to you, Samuel?
Looks like they stole Jim Martin's Defiant a little bit.
It does look a lot like that, doesn't it?
Well, even the detailing on the front itself.
Yeah. It's a little bit different, but it's similar enough that you really notice it if you're a Star Trek fan.
It's surprisingly similar. Let's just say that.
Yes. Yes. So it still keeps the same basic shape at the front, but they've really detailed it to look like the Defiant, which is interesting.
But they're missing quantum launchers, so it can't be the Defiant.
There you go.
There you
go. Next picture, this is showing the class of the ship, the Vanguard class, and again another reimagining of the shape and design, but
it's pretty similar.
True. Yeah. The profile is actually very strange. I wouldn't expect that kind of profile from it. But all the other views are what they should be, I think.
Feels very again, technical manual from Rick and the guys back in the 80s or 90s, like very sort of simple and what they could imagine then, sort of thing. I suppose the other version I talked about, which is very advanced, feeling much more modernistic.
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah. And this also has the defiant look at the front from the top,
A little bit,
for sure.
A little bit.
The next picture is not the Ark, but it's a ship from the Transformers the movie, which is another Cybertronian ship. So you see the same basic shapes, especially at the front there. This is more of a warship style, though. This isn't a transport like the Ark was. So it's just to show the Autobot aesthetic for ships. Big engines at the back, similar front shape, and the color, of course, the same. But there's a lot of details that are different.
I mean, it's very, very, very aircraft carrier-y. I mean, this is definitely taking inspiration from something like that. I mean,
it's got like the bridge tower, the conning tower there, and the wings out the side actually look like Cylon Raiders.
No, I dig it. I feel like I've seen this in like real life before at a model show or something.
Oh, possibly, yeah.
I like how it's very rectangle-y, and then suddenly it has these slicey curves. It's an interesting dichotomy that works, actually. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's a cool design. I think it's neat that they keep the same style, but it's a
I wouldn't necessarily say the same exact. I mean, you wouldn't if you painted them both different colors and put them in a room, you wouldn't be able to tell they're the same design. I don't think if you had no previous knowledge. But then again, Defiant versus Miranda, same thing. So just because we know about it, so yeah.
Fine. All right, last picture. This one's done by James Hopkins, and it's a very cool CG model of it. Which I think the profile in this one speaks truer to me of what it should be than the other profile that we just saw, which I said looked odd. This one's got the tower at the back and some protrusions at the bottom, which I think really add to the overall look. So
more Defiant as well. Well, to be fair, the Defiant was after this, so I mean,
good point.
Well, not Defiant 10, but the base version. It's interesting. No, I like this version. It's a good in between step. It's got more personality than the previous versions, but it keeps the same basic. I prefer the domes being in the bridge, though. Having them in the middle doesn't work so well. It doesn't feel as integrated. I prefer the curves of the earlier ones, I think.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I think it's lacking a little bit of detailing on the hull, too, but other than that, I think it's a great look. So, anyway, guys, I think that's it for the Autobot Ark.
Okay.
So, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Samuel.
Yes.
What is your final impression of this ship?
Works for its purpose. Has an interesting style, a lot of variations, a lot of different things. I think the game version looked incredible. Very, very archy. I mean, it's interesting when it's such a strange... It's just a transport ship, but, you know, all the little subtleties within that. And the bridge is cool. Bridge is definitely cool. Yeah, I think... I'm interested by gold, or at least gold colour, is a standard. It's interesting, you know, because obviously, like I said before, you only take Transformers from the context of they look like our stuff, but what was it before that, you know? So it's interesting.
Yeah, and the Decepticons have the purple colors, so I think it's just to help differentiate for the kids, you know. It was a cartoon after all, so.
Yeah, no, it was cool. I like it.
Cool. All right, well, yeah. I grew up with this ship, love it. I think it's great, and there's so many different versions of it over the years that they all kind of meld together. You can make one fantastic ship in your mind, I guess. But yeah, I think the one from the game is probably my favorite one overall, so. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining us. Hope you liked the video. Subscribe to the channel. Don't forget Patreon. There's a description and link below.
Yes. Almost there, guys. Almost to 1,000.
Absolutely. And until next time, I'm Captain Foley.
And I am Commander Cookins.
Transform and roll out, everybody.
What he said.
To.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.